I just kept racking up credit card debt, opening up a new credit card, opening up another one, and I eventually got, I think my max, not including my mortgage, was around $125,000 in credit card debt.
Wow.
And I was just at that moment where I looked at my bank account and I'm like, okay, I have $11. I have exactly enough money to buy a hot and ready, which by the way was $5.30. I know this exactly. It was at the time. I'm sure it's more now.
Wait. So you're saying you were $125,000 in debt?
Yeah.
Nobody probably knew.
No, God, no. Not my parents didn't know.
Everything looked like you were doing amazing.
Yeah, for the most part.
Yeah. But really, you're deciding on what, like, if you can afford food.
Yep. I'm like, am I going to file bankruptcy and go get a job, or am I going to stick it out in real estate?
That's tough.
What's up, everybody? It's Brooke Jones, aka the Millennial Agent.
Hey guys, it's your girl Tyra Nicole.
Hey, everybody. I am Nicole Pay,
And you are watching the RPR podcast.
I always. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Real People and Real Estate podcast, where we talk about the real shit, not about real estate. I'm one of your hosts, Brooke Jones, aka the Millennial Agent.
And I'm your boy, Robert Courtney, subbing in for Nicole and Tyra. And today we have one of the top brokers, probably in the country, definitely in Michigan, someone who has an affinity for creation, social media, all the things that we love, Mike Perna. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for coming in and pulling double duty.
Yeah, man.
Like operating as one person, working for two people, doing all the things.
All the things.
Missing basketball.
Missing
which
basketball.
I appreciate. Yeah.
The thing that I probably love more, the only thing I love more than basketball probably are my kids.
Yeah.
But it's awesome to have you. This conversation is way overdue.
Way overdue. Yeah. We've been talking for a long time, and this should have happened already.
You know what? I feel like when it comes to real estate agents, brokers, you guys are a different breed, first of all.
Thank you.
Both of you.
We try to stand out a little bit. A little bit.
Yeah. But I feel like we've seen each other in life probably 10 times, right?
Like we get minimum 10 times.
Maybe, right? And I feel like we've organically somehow have developed some type of connection, relationship. Yeah. But I think that comes from just being on the same page in terms of work ethic, discipline, creativity that's necessary to stand out and brand. And so I think today I'm excited because I get a chance to understand like why that connection has happened, because usually the stories are similar. Like the experience of getting to where you are, I feel like a lot of times when you connect that easily, it's because you've probably kind of been on the same path or journey. So I like to learn and like really get an understanding of like, how did Mike Perna end up here? Like, give us the elevator version of like how you were able to build the empire that you've built so far.
Well, how I got here, this specific seat. Do you remember where we met?
We met the first time at.
I can tell you, I remember it. It was a fundraiser.
It was Catherine's fundraiser.
Yes.
I remember.
That's
that.
right.
Yes.
That's right.
And you bought
but see,
a ton of raffle
I
tickets.
did. I did.
One to me.
You did.
Oh, did I really?
Yeah, you're like.
Oh, okay. I didn't remember that. I'm so sorry.
No, you're good.
But before you go there, the reason I wasn't sure because I had heard so much about you prior to actually meeting you.
Yeah. Well, and that was one of the big things that has attracted me to this relationship and with you, is because I saw how big your heart was at that event. And I don't like doing things with people who don't have that give back, help others, reach back and pull people up mentality.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
That makes perfect sense.
So tell us about you as a person. Tell us about your start in business. I don't know if you started in real estate, if you ended up in real estate. Like, tell us just a little bit about the backstory of how you ended up here in terms of your success in business.
Yeah. So, and thank you for that. Yeah. And I think a lot of people fall into real estate. Like they might get fired from a job and say, well, maybe I'll go try this, or maybe I'll do that. I started in real estate when I was 19 years old. I was looking to pay for a college degree without any student debt. That was the reason I got into it. I saw my angle was I was going to be some sort of a corporate attorney, maybe mergers, acquisitions, something of that nature. I had several family members that have done really well in that field. But then I was watching other people just honestly be miserable in law, miserable in the corporate culture. And frankly, I was having a lot of fun. And it was 2002. And I mean, home sales were just so easy. That sounds terrible. I was looking at my income and how little I was working. I was looking at their income and how much they were working, and just the difference. And I said, you know what? I'm actually having a lot of fun. I feel like I'm helping people. I feel like I'm providing a service where it's in an industry where a lot of people don't give great service. Not to be offensive to real estate agents, but I find that to be the case. And so I just kind of stuck with it. Kind of bumbled around until 07, 08, sold my, $5 or $6 million a year worth of real estate, which is a great number. Definitely more than you need to make a living, especially
Who are you with
at
that
22. Started with Coldwell Banker.
Okay.
Was fired, which is great, by the way. I've been fired from like 4
We gotta talk
brokerages.
about
I was
that.
like,
so
can
many
brokers
times. It's so
fire
good.
people? Like, does this happen?
You got to be real bad, and I was real bad. I was real bad.
That's funny.
I had a college course I needed to take to graduate, and it was on Tuesdays, and they did the obligatory Tuesday office meeting. And back then, we used to do what's called home tour. You probably wouldn't remember home tour. You may not remember home tour.
I have no idea.
Oh, it's a terrible thing.
Okay.
Terrible concept. So basically, all of the agents after the Tuesday meeting get into cars and they go visit all of the new listings in the office.
Oh, okay.
It takes about the whole damn day.
Yeah.
It sucks. It's the most unproductive day of the week. But I needed this class to graduate. So I went to my broker and said, look, I know I'm newer. I've been in this less than a year, but I have to take this course or I can't get a degree.
Yeah.
So I will not be doing a home tour. And she looked at me and said, well, you can be an agent or you can be a college kid, but you can't do both. I said, well, I need the class. And she's like, well, then you can go.
Oh,
Wow.
It's like, okay. That was pretty amazing.
That was it.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I went from the big Coldwell Banker office, which is still there in Northville, to the very, very small Central 21 office. Grew to be the number 2 producer to the broker and decided I wanted to hire an assistant. And because I didn't know else to get to the next level. The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, that book had just come out. I got it. I read it like 19 times. I could tell you page numbers and what's on them even. And I was like, I'm going to hire an assistant with my broker. I said, I'm going to hire an assistant. This is going to be great. This is how I'm going to scale to the next level. I can't do this alone. I need leverage. I need somebody to just keep my shit together, frankly, because my paperwork was a mess. Like there were closing checks from
Help
like
you get
a month ago
organized.
sitting in the back. Yeah. And he said, no. Real estate agents don't have assistants because people will only work with the real estate agent. Your clients will leave you. No one will work with you. And I'm like, dude, your wife is in here every single day as your assistant. Like every
What's
day.
the difference?
Every day. Yeah. So I left and went to Keller Williams. I was at Keller Williams for 19 years. I loved Keller Williams. It grew me as a person, grew me as an agent, showed me what was possible. It showed me what was possible, not only like selling real estate, but the impact that someone could actually have on the world through real estate or outside of real estate, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it definitely does.
So then we hit the down market in 08. Actually, it was really 07 that they kind of turned the lights off on real estate, and it was terrible. I had 42. I decided in 2007 I'm going to go be a listing agent. That's what I'm going to do, because everybody said you have to be a listing agent to really make it in real estate. So in the first 6 months of 07, I went and took 42 listings. I was number 1 in the office. It was great. And all of a sudden the showing stopped. And I didn't know what to do. I had no training. I had no idea how to do a price reduction. I had no idea how to talk to sellers. So I went to another guy in my office. I said, I'll tell you what, I'm going to give you these 42 listings. Just give me a referral fee. I just want to go back and work buyers. This is terrible.
Okay, can I ask you, how
Yeah.
did you get those 42 listings?
Door knocking.
Okay.
So every day that I didn't have an appointment, I would go pick 6 expired listings and I would door knock expired listings.
Wow.
Yeah. It worked.
And were you nervous doing that for the first time?
Yeah. The first couple of times I was, and then when I realized people were actually nice, like my 4th time out, I door knocked this house in Novi, the oldest couple in the world, and I did my little pitch, and the guy's just staring at me, and he's like, we're having tacos. Come on in.
Wow.
I was like, okay. And so I had homemade tacos assigned to listing.
Wow.
I was like, okay, this is a lot easier than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
And again, going back to the service side, I didn't realize that the majority of agents will list a property, throw it on, and then never talk to their sellers again. And like 6 months will go by, and they won't even realize their contract is up.
Yeah.
Like that's just, I hate to say it, but standard practice for a lot of real estate agents. So I felt like I was back in and doing a good service again until I wasn't. until I was out of my depths. Ran buyers around for a while, which I loved doing. It was a lot of fun showing property, a lot of fun going into other people's homes and helping people find their property. But also I knew I needed to get back to leveraging, so that's when I started the door knocking again. So now in the morning I was calling for 4 hours a day, doing around 500 dials in 4 hours using a triple line dialer. And then if I didn't have an appointment at night, I was back at door knocking. And 2 years later, I sold 183 homes, myself and one assistant. It was pretty cool.
But
it was pretty cool.
That right there, we don't have to have the conversation can stop. You just told me who you were. Like, nobody's going to do that many phone calls and then go door knock.
Yeah.
Consistently for years. Like, it's not going to happen.
I was broke. I was like, okay, I need to eat, but I need to make a car payment. So we're going to buy a hot and ready. And we're going to stretch the hot and ready out over 2 days. Like, that's where I was at that moment.
Yeah.
So I was either going to work every hour I was awake, every minute I was awake to make this happen, or I was going to get out.
Yeah, do something different.
And I was a month away from quitting.
Yeah.
Okay, so going off of that, I have 2 questions for you.
Yeah.
One, how long do you think it took for you from the beginning, getting into real estate to actually pick up and be somewhat successful in real estate? That's my first question. And then second question, I want to talk about being broke. Or I just want to hear that story about being broke.
Absolutely.
My question was going to be, have you ever been broke before?
Yeah, it was great. It was a great experience, not one I need to repeat. So my first year in real estate, I sold a house in my first 6 months, and then I sold 2 in my second 6 months. Oh. So I like to tell people I doubled my business the first year.
Oh, that's good.
Which is terrible, but because I don't like to give out the numbers really.
Yeah.
It was a real slow start. I was completely remedial. I had no idea what I was doing. I had no training. I didn't know there was training. I didn't know there was coaching or professional coaching in the business. I didn't know any of that stuff. But the brokerage I was at, the 2 brokerages first I was at, didn't really push education and training. It was more like, here's your phone, here's your desk.
Figure it out.
Yeah. It was a real thing. Going broke was a real experience because I had a mortgage at the time because I bought my first property when I was 20. I had a car payment, of course, because I had a lease. And as the listings weren't selling, which is why I turned them over to another agent, as the listings weren't selling, but I was still paying for signs and paying for photography and paying for all those things, I just kept racking up credit card debt, opening up a new credit card, opening up another one, and I eventually got, I think my max, not including my mortgage, was around $125,000 in credit card debt.
Wow.
And I was just at that moment where I looked at my bank account and I'm like, okay, I have $11. I have exactly enough money to buy a hot and ready, which by the way was $5.30. I know this exactly. It was at the time. I'm sure it's more now.
Wait. So you're saying you were $125,000 in debt?
Yeah.
Nobody probably knew.
No, God no. Not my parents didn't know.
Everything looked like you were doing amazing.
Yeah, for the most part. Yeah.
But really, you're deciding on what, if you can afford food.
Yep. I'm like, am I going to file bankruptcy and go get a job, or am I going to stick it out in real estate?
That's tough.
And so I remember that day because it was $11 in my bank account, and I got the hot and ready, and I said, okay, now I have $5.70 left over that I can put gas in my car to do this next set of showings. And if they don't buy a house, I'm done. Yeah.
And did they buy a house?
Not that time, but the next time they did.
And you made it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Barely made it. I'm talking.
But then you have to wait 30 days for closing, typically.
Yeah.
So what did you do in those 30 days?
More hot and ready, and then I went to my father and I said, hey man, can I borrow just $500?
Okay.
Which he gave me.
Good.
Yeah.
Did you ever end up finishing your degree?
No.
So you just kind of quit college and went full force in real estate? Okay.
Best thing I ever did.
What was the switch, or what flipped that switch for you to realize what was necessary in order for you to start finding consistency? What got you to the point where you were making that many calls and knocking on that many doors?
Every time I either left a brokerage or was talking to somebody successful, they were all very committed to the fact that I was not going to make it. So I felt like I had an extra grind, and it was a requirement to prove them wrong.
Yeah.
When I left my first brokerage or was kicked out, she was like, that's fine, you weren't going to make it anyway. When I left my second brokerage, he said, hey, when you're ready, you can come back and work for me and just sell your 2 or 3 homes a year because that's probably all you're going to do. It's like, okay. which, by the way, I did. Okay, this is the. Can I say something petty?
Yeah.
Okay.
Please.
This is the one thing I probably did in my life that's truly petty. So I sent him a Christmas card every year. He was actually friends with my parents, and every year I congratulate him on a great year. And then finally, 6 years after I left him, I did more business than his entire brokerage.
Wow.
And so I sent him that Christmas card. Hey man, great year. By the way, I did this much business. I beat him by like 11 million. It was so good, or 12 million, or whatever it was.
That's great.
But he was like,
What did he say back?
nothing.
Yeah, what is he
Nothing.
going to say back?
Do you see him to this day?
No, actually, I haven't seen him in a decade at least. But he was one of those guys that like had the temper going, and so like I didn't feel necessarily that bad about that situation.
Yeah.
Every other aspect of my life, I always try to take the high road, except the guy that literally yelled at me and then sued me and then took me to the board and then took me to the state, all of which just got dismissed because I didn't do anything wrong or unethical. But I felt like, okay, if this guy's going to work this hard, then
At least
send
he
him a
gets in the
Christmas card.
postcard.
Yeah.
That's great.
What did he try to sue you for?
So he claimed, I'm not kidding you, he claimed two things. One, I stole a lockbox, like a $22 lockbox, right? Like the push buttons. And then second, my mother was an agent in the 90s, and a friend of hers called the front desk there, and the front desk lady there said, oh, Lori's not in real estate anymore, but her son is. Here's her son's cell phone number. And I was already at Keller Williams. So they called me, and I listed their house, and I sold it. And so he came after me for the full commission, saying I should have turned that deal over to him because they called his office.
It was a referral.
Yeah. And it was his assistant that
sent it to you.
Gave them my cell phone number.
Right, you should be suing your assistant.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was great.
crazy.
It was great.
I think nowadays there's such a disconnect between what hard work looks like.
Yeah. I agree.
And like, how do you go about communicating that to like the new agent who walks through the door? There's no way, and correct me if I'm wrong, there's no way you're getting a new agent to sit down and make that amount of phone calls or knock on that many doors.
Yeah. Not that many, but we are getting them to commit to 100 dials a day, 100 texts a day, and 100 emails a day. And if I can just get them to do that for a week, just the first week they're on leads, two things are going to happen. Three things really. One, they're going to get something going on. Right? If I give them 100 leads and they do 100 calls a day.
Conversations equal conversions.
Yep. Yeah. And that's it.
Yeah.
Two, they're going to see that the leads are good because a lot of people are going to say, oh, we already bought a house. Which means that the lead was a good lead at some point in time. We just didn't get to it in time.
The timing was off.
So now they feel better about the leads. And then number three, it's just like when you stretch a rubber band, when you really stretch it, it never goes back to the same size. I'm stretching these guys to do 100 dials a day. They're never going back to 10. They'll land closer to 40 or 50, which means they're going to have a successful business.
Got it. So if the agent comes in and they're not willing, or it's obvious that they're not doing what you've asked them to do.
Yeah.
What's next? Like, how do you manage that situation?
Generally, I don't have to. They just stop showing up.
Okay.
Yeah. So we have a 60% fallout rate with new agents in the first 3 weeks.
Okay.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
And that is 100%.
Yeah, you're basically saying
okay.
we're not the right fit.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. It's kind of running. It's kind of running the treadmill test.
Yeah.
Right. Just they're making the treadmill faster and faster and faster till they jump off.
Got it.
Right. So the interview for an agent for us isn't the interview. It's the first 3 weeks on the team. Right. Are you going to show up? Is your audio going to match your video? Like, is that really going to happen? Or is your video going to match your audio actually?
Yeah.
Like, is that really going to happen? Or are you just talking a good game? Because after hiring agents for 18 years, I can tell you this. I am a very bad picker of who's got grit
I know.
and who's just lazy.
Yeah.
So why don't I just throw them at it, give everybody an opportunity, and then see how they show up?
Yeah.
Like, there are people on my team. I was having this conversation with my leadership team not too long ago. There are a lot of people in my top 10 or top 15 or top 20% that none of us thought would ever make it.
Yeah.
But they just grit it out.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, that's interesting too, because like there's every culture demands like what's good for you, for your culture, may be very opposite for what's good for me, for my culture.
Yeah.
And I feel like I pick people for my culture. But that doesn't mean that they're going to be a high performer.
I agree.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so like we're just naturally attracted to like certain qualities and characteristics. I feel like as the person who runs the company, like if you look the part, you talk the part, the vibes is right. But that doesn't mean you're going to be there every day. You're going to get there on time. You're going to be willing to be uncomfortable in situations. You know, like there's so many other boxes to check. And it's interesting you say that because I see it all the time. And it's like
all the time.
She'll tell you like she's always around where like we bring people in and my test is just like how do you interact with the rest of us? Like it's a big test. And then the second test is, are you accountable? Like, can I trust you?
Yeah.
You know, which is very different from real estate because with real estate, it's like we need top producers. Like, you got to hit the phone. You got to do what's necessary.
Yep.
In my situation, to make our machine work, I need to know that I can trust you to create content every single day for the account that you're responsible for.
Yeah.
Which seems like a little ask, but if you miss one day, that's a huge problem.
It's a huge problem.
It's a huge problem.
I mean, you're not just losing clients, but those clients are losing business themselves.
Correct.
And that's a huge problem because those clients have invested in and trusted your business to see them through to the other side of whatever growth phase they're going through.
100%.
Yeah.
So I just feel like in the real estate world, there's levels, not levels. There's boxes you have to check for just minimal success.
Yeah.
So like hitting the phone, sending texts, sending emails, like the ability to just reach out and create those conversations is just the starting point. Then you start layering that with a little bit of skill, a little salesmanship, like some branding, some social media activity. But if you don't check the initial boxes, it's going to be really hard to get to the next.
And you're right about that, especially coming in new, and you know this, like the skill's just not there because you don't have the muscle memory yet around the scripting and the dialoguing, all those things that after a year or 2 years or 3 years, if you get the reps in, just come natural. And I have a responsibility to the people that, and put this another way, if I don't get my people paid by day 90 to 120, they're probably going to be out of the business. So I have to push them and I have to hold them accountable to getting the dials in and the reps because they're low skill. They got to go high volume, high reps until they achieve the skill. Then they can back off on the reps and the volume, right? Like my 4 or 5 year guys or my 8 or 10 year guys, like they don't do the dials like the first year guys do.
Yeah,
and that's okay. Yeah. They've earned that through the skill. Like I can give them 10 leads, they'll convert 2.
Right.
I give a new guy 10 leads, they're converting 0.
It's so crazy how reps is literally like. It's the bloodline of every successul situation.
It really is.
Like you just gotta just put the time in.
Yep.
And do the action like over and over and over again.
Just chop wood.
Yeah, chop
just
wood.
Keep going.
I tell them I send emojis in our group chat for the podcast.
Yeah.
Of just like the guy chopping the wood, the sexy guy where he's trying to like play, but it's just like him chopping wood like over and over.
And that's
really the game.
That's all successes. You just keep doing the same thing long enough. Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about marketing because I know that cold calling and door knocking is like the OG way to get leads in real estate.
I'm old. So I'm an OG.
But things have changed now.
I'm the oldest person in this room.
We were just talking before we came on the podcast about social media, YouTube. This is right up Rob's realm. He loves social media.
Yep.
So do you remember that year of when it was, okay, everybody's starting to go on social media. I need to implement social media into my business.
Yes.
And then how did you do that?
Okay, that's a great question. So social media, I really started taking a more strategic approach with it about 3 years ago. A really good friend of mine that was actually the office next door to me in the Keller Williams office. His name's Ken. Really nice guy. He looks so dapper with like his glasses on and everything. Good looking dude. He got home from Disney, him and his wife and his 2 kids at the time, and said, you know what? I think I might move to Florida. And then like 3 days later, his house was listed. I was like, what are you doing, bro? You're giving up a $30 million a year business that's basically running an autopilot to move to Florida. And now he's positioned 6 years later, being in Florida for 6 years or 8 years, maybe 6 to 8 years. He's the #1 Keller Williams agent. He's on pace to close $500 million this year.
Wow.
And it all started when he gave himself a 100 video YouTube challenge where he would do a video every single day, regardless of whether it was good or not. And this is before shorts.
Yeah.
So this was like a 6 to 8 minute video every day. He would create, and he had no staff, so he would edit, and then he would post.
What year was this?
This was 2018.
Okay, that's kind
Yes.
of when YouTube was like blowing up.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was good.
Yeah.
And he called me up. He's like, Mike, it actually worked. I've got like 10 clients from YouTube right now. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like people actually will watch the videos on the YouTubes and then call you? Like that's a thing? So I was like, well, I can do this. So I started doing YouTube as well. And for me, YouTube, and then I layered on, I started with Facebook. That one didn't go so well for me as far as marketing towards clients go. So I actually switched that focus a little bit later on. But then most recently in the last 18 months, Instagram, that has become a big backbone to the phone calls. And that's more of how I'm using it than a client attractor.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. No.
So my agents will be on the phone, and then part of their scripting is, hey, I'm with the Perna team, you had inquired about this house, and you may have seen Mike because of his YouTube videos or his Instagram, or he does these restaurant reviews, and then people are like, oh my gosh, I know exactly who he is. And we've been getting his newsletter because we send 225,000 people email newsletters, and they get 4 emails a week.
That's a massive list. 225,000.
Yeah. And so we have anywhere between a 32 and our best is 45. So let's call it 32 to 38% open rate on those emails. So I've really worked to tweak that to get that to where it is. And
so
my intention.
How often are you guys scrubbing it?
Are we doing what?
How often do you scrub the lists?
Oh, monthly.
Monthly.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Which is good.
Good stuff. Yeah.
And the intention there is at 280,000 people in the database that we've collected over the last 15 years, at any given point in time, 280,000, 260,000 minimum are not looking for a home.
Yeah.
But they are looking to figure out, what am I going to do with the kids this weekend? So our market to message match is we try to provide enough, like 95% of our content is around what's happening in Metro Detroit, restaurants, new happenings, the auto show.
You're the mayor of your state.
Yeah. And that's
basically.
it. Museum free days.
Yeah.
Like anything we can do to provide value to families and just beat them over the head for 5 years with our name.
Yep.
And then when the right call comes in at the right time, they know exactly who we are.
Yep.
And that's my intentionality behind marketing. Facebook is a little bit different. So Facebook I use more as agent attraction model and to get my name out there for real estate agents. So especially this year, I've committed to doing 4 long Facebook posts per week, which I'm actually going to start ramping that up.
That was a question that was coming.
Was it?
Yeah, for sure.
What was the question?
The question was, are you intentionally creating extra long Facebook messages?
Yes.
Is that a strategy?
That's a strategy because I believe that Facebook reads everything that we post and starts putting the right messages in front of the right people. Right? So over time, just in the first 3 months of this year, I've seen the people that are seeing my post, commenting on it and liking them are very different than the ones that were doing that 6 months ago. Like it's a lot more real estate agents and a lot more national real estate agents, and a lot more local real estate agents, which is what I want.
Got it.
So every Monday I'm teaching something on Facebook. It's all educational. Every Thursday I'm teaching something on Facebook. And so I'm trying to go high-minded and educational, trying to, again, provide value to the agent community, which is now causing agents on a regular basis to reach out and say, hey, like I just had this conversation yesterday.
They're learning from you without having to necessarily engage until they're ready to make the move.
Yep. Like I had a gentleman reach out the other day where he was a $6 million producer 3 years ago, $4 million 2 years ago, did $1.8 million last year, and is like, look, I'm failing out of the business. I need help. I love your content. I love your post. You seem like you have a culture that I could vibe with. Can we sit down and talk? And that's great. I love that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So Facebook is predominantly, or has been for me, a channel to reach out to other agents. Now, I've also gotten some coaching clients from it as well.
Are you, is that you branding Mike Perna, personal brand, or do you feel like that's more Perna team and like corporate company branding?
That's more me.
That's you specifically.
Yep, that's more me. Yep. And then the 2 people that I really look up to, and I would definitely look these guys up. One of them is John Chiplack.
Yeah, I'm familiar.
Yep. He's been my coach for 5 years, almost 5 years. Yeah, 5 years. 5 years this past January. But if you look at that guy, he's insane.
Oh no, I watch his content.
Oh my gosh.
You probably are one of the people that like shifted my focus to him.
Okay.
Because you do a great job at when you do go to conferences or events or what have you.
Yeah.
You do like your takeaways, like your 5 takeaways, your 10 takeaways from the events.
Yep.
And I am the master of taking someone's cliff notes and applying them. Like I don't need to watch the whole movie. Just tell me. I don't need to be at the conference. Tell me what you pull from it, and then I will immediately apply those things because, like,
Yep.
if you saw it valuable, I'm probably gonna see the same thing valuable too. So I love that type of content.
That makes
What
sense.
was gonna
I love
ask
that.
you
I'm
is
gonna
about
do more
your,
of that.
your
Yeah.
long form. Have you tried the short form?
I've tried the short form, and some of the short form I do. I mean, I played around with it, but the most effective and most engagement on the short form seems to be the things that are more personal.
Okay.
That make me more of a human, not just a business person.
Yeah, because I'm curious.
Yeah.
Only reason I ask that is because, and remember, this is like social media strategy brain on steroids.
I mean, this is your thing, not my thing. So I'm open to all advice.
I'm very curious that if your long form was condensed to key takeaways that you're providing in the long form, to then direct those people to a place. So whether that's the email, whether that's a Facebook group, like somewhere more personal and more intimate, I feel like that conversion rate would be through the roof because we know they're interested.
Yep.
We know clearly there's people reading. So if we have 100 people, let's just say hypothetically, that's reading this post and they're interested, out of that 100 people, let's say 10 are reaching out to you.
Yeah.
I feel like those other 90, half of those people would probably reach out if it was a way to engage with you where other people didn't know that they were engaging. You understand what I'm saying?
Sense. Yeah,
So
yeah.
like if I could click a link to become a part of your email from a post that gave me the summary of what it is you're describing in the long form, I feel like I would tap into that.
That's a good point.
Does that make sense? Because
No,
like
it
I
makes
love
perfect
the
sense.
takeaway. Like
Yeah.
I skim through to get to the takeaway.
Yep.
You
That
know what I'm
makes
saying?
sense.
But if it's just
Yeah.
like bam, like right there in my face, it's just I feel like it's possible that would convert really high off channel to like somewhere else where I can go and engage with it.
That's a good idea.
It's possible.
I mean, so for example, you said that guy reached out to you. If he wasn't ready to initially sign up with the Perna team, but he did want your help, he can go into this Facebook group, and then you're nurturing him there until he is set on, okay, Perna team is who I want to be.
The
with.
nurturing probably happens faster.
And you're gonna
That's
lose
a
him
great
if
point.
you don't have
Yeah.
him in the group. So, but he feels like he's part of
A
your
community.
team
Your community.
being
Yeah.
in the group.
Yeah, for sure. Just
Yeah.
a
That's a
thought,
great.
just
No,
an
no.
idea.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
That's a great way to do it.
Maybe
Yeah,
good
yeah.
A/B tests for, because I mean literally like I know I push our team. It's like if something is performing, it's gonna keep performing.
Yeah.
Like if you put out a great piece of content and then you repurpose it and you put out the same content, it's gonna probably do just as good or better than it did the first time. Like content doesn't get old or it doesn't expire. It's just our own perception of the fact that it's like you wear a cool outfit today, you don't want to wear it tomorrow or on the weekend because like I wore it the other day. But the people that you see in 2 days are going to be completely different than the people you saw. You know, so like we're telling ourselves like this outfit is old.
We can only do it once.
We
and
can
then
only
it's
do
done.
it once, but content is the same. It's like the algorithm liked it the first time. It's going to perform again and again and again.
That's
so
a
what I
great
think
point.
is
Yeah.
if content is doing well as long form, like you could literally go through your last 90 days of content, pick the content that performed the best, repurpose it into short form. I guarantee, and I would love to get feedback if you try this.
I am going to try.
I would
100%.
guarantee that
Yeah.
content will perform just as good or better. And it's going to reach a different audience who didn't want to read the long form.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. I'm going to
So-
actually do that with 3 specific posts that I
love it.
got really, really good engagement. Like one of them I put out my entire expired listing plan, like from my calls to my emails to my text to my door knocking script to everything. But I didn't put the script in there and I didn't put my mailer in there.
I know what you're gonna say. I already know what you're gonna say.
that's the ultimate lead gen right there.
Yeah, and I said, hey, if you want my script for this, if you want my mailer for this, I will actually record a personal video for you if you want to. Just either DM me or leave something below.
So you don't.
So I added them all to my email list. Yeah.
Do you use? And I'm sorry, I'm turning this into a social media conversation.
I know
it's
what you're
good.
gonna talk
It's good.
about
It's
right
good.
now.
Do you use a automated system like Stampede Social or
Not at the moment.
chat bot like a
I should.
what's the other one, mini chat?
Yeah, mini chat.
You don't?
Yeah. The mini chat I've used in the past. I still. This sounds terrible. I still personally respond to everything. I'd like it.
Mike.
Dude, I like the conversations. I like the people.
Yeah, you're a people person.
I like to get into the conversations. Actually, I'm not. It's really cool.
Really?
Yeah, I'm the biggest introvert in the room.
Yeah,
Bigger
but
than
you enjoy.
Bigger than you. Bigger than you. Bigger than you.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to talk to anybody.
But you enjoy the conversation. You don't like approaching people.
Right.
But when they approach you, you like the conversation.
That's fair. Like, there was an event that was supposed to happen tomorrow that you were supposed to be at, I think.
I was supposed to host.
And guess what? It's not.
Yes.
And I'm so happy.
Yeah.
I'm so happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
Yeah.
I'm a pretty shy person naturally, but if somebody talks to me, like comes up and talks to me,
Yeah.
I can have
I think Mike.
conversation
I
with
think
them.
he is the perfect like avatar for you, like because she constantly complains about creating conversations.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I feel like this is the blueprint, like literally the blueprint for being introverted.
Yeah.
And still being able to figure out creative ways to build the relationships, establish, you know, his brand. Like I think it's like ideal. But I was gonna say is we did a whole mixer based on the event for tomorrow.
Oh, that's right. That's tomorrow night, right?
Tomorrow evening
but
at
that's still
5
going.
o'clock. It's still I am allergic to canceling. Like I cannot cancel. I have to be on my deathbed.
Yeah.
And literally can't move for me to cancel something. Like once I put it out there, it's like it has to happen.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I mean, I was going to show up. I wasn't
No,
going to
of
skip or
course,
anything,
yeah, of
right?
course.
Like if it was going to happen. To be fair, Austin signed me up. I didn't even know that I was signed up.
Oh yeah.
It was like last week, and he's like, "Oh, bro, by the way, you got to go there." I'm like, "What? What are we? Who's
Yeah.
what?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what? So when
Yeah.
it comes to like speaking events, though, you're introverted, but clearly you have a version of yourself that can be the extrovert that you need to be in those environments.
Yeah.
Or do it just.
Yeah.
You just force yourself, but you're still uncomfortable and nervous the entire time.
Pretty much.
Okay.
Pretty much the latter. I have 4 stock presentations I do depending on what what I'm being called in for.
Yeah.
Right. Which my most often is just building like business building, like building a plan around like, okay, 2025. What is my business plan? Okay, let's build the business plan. Actually, the first time I did that was a friend of mine that owned a Keller Williams office in Arizona was like, hey, can you come in and do like a 4-hour class? We'll pay for the trip and everything. I'm like, sure. I was like, great. The class ended up being 9 hours without a break because it just kept
9
going.
hours?
Yeah.
Holy
It went to the
smokes.
point where Brian and Kevin had to be like, look, we need to get you into a car because your plane's going to leave and you're not going to be on it.
Wow.
But it was good,
Yeah.
right? But it was a smaller group. It was like 100 people. It was a lot of fun. It was high engagement. We were literally building out.
That's
about
like your perfect setting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
We were building several business plans, so it wasn't like a public speaking. It was more of a conversation.
Yeah.
and that was really cool.
Because I
And that's
noticed,
what
like when
prefer.
I watch your team videos, which
Yeah.
are awesome, based on like I love fun, energetic cultures and environments, and
Yeah.
yours seem like you have a really good culture. But you're never.
We work hard at that.
You're never in front of the room. Like you're never
I'm
talking.
always
to
in the
anybody.
back. I'm
Yeah.
always in the back.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
That's what Austin's for. Austin,
Yeah.
Sadie, Charity,
No,
they do
Austin,
a great
yeah,
job at
his
it.
energy is like
Oh, yeah.
undeniable.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
So-
great.
He's crazy. He's cool. Yeah.
How did you get into speaking? Do you remember the first time you were asked to speak?
Yeah, actually, that was the first time. I had just hit 100 million. I was the number 5 agent at KW. And literally just Brian Gubernick just called me up one day and was like, hey, man, my name's Brian. We don't know each other, but I need you to come to Arizona. I was like, okay. Never been to Arizona. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
And it was nice.
Nice. That's
Yeah.
a great first speaking opportunity.
know.
What
Yeah.
did you learn from it?
I learned that I can actually speak in front of people,
Yeah.
which I had never done before. I basically just took a piece of Keller Williams content called the 135 and the 411. So like, what's your one goal for the year? What's your 3 priorities? And what are the 5 things that go under each one of 3 priorities, like the action things to get to those goals? I literally just took that and expanded on that 30-minute video that Gary Keller had done and made it apparently into 9 hours.
I know.
I love
Yeah.
it. So what
Yeah.
would you consider your superpower? Like if you had to pick one skill that you feel like you're better than most people at, like what would that one thing be?
That's a great question. I read that question in the prep, and I was having trouble with coming up with something. So I'm definitely not the smartest person in any room that I walk into. Definitely not the most skilled. I would have to go with tenacity. Like, I will not give up. Like, it will happen, period.
Yeah.
100%. I will
I feel
figure it
that.
out somehow.
You're resourceful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Scrappy.
I feel that.
Yeah.
I think, and that's probably, I mean, when you started describing the unlimited calls and the door knocking, like, again, like I know who you are, because that's like when like Will Smith did this legendary interview, and you probably know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yep.
Yeah, and
no
he's
one will
like,
outwork him.
He's
And I feel
like
the same way. Yeah.
If we get on a treadmill,
Yep.
and the opportunity is on the line, it's like, I'm gonna die on this treadmill
Yep.
before I allow the next man to beat me. Like,
Yep.
like
That's so true,
that
too.
line is just like, it resonated with me so hard, because like at the end of the day, like, our competitive nature is really so embedded, and it comes out in business. And so
It
like
really
that
does.
tenacity that you're talking about, like, nicest guy, like I'm the nicest guy in the room in most rooms.
Yeah.
You're not gonna beat me though. Like,
Well,
I can be the nicest guy,
yes.
but also like I feel undeniable determination to be the best at what I'm the best at, you
Yeah.
know, or get
Yeah.
the job done, you know. So
Well, and I think there's also a difference in business where, well, and going back a little bit, yes, on the Will Smith thing,
Yeah.
absolutely, that was hugely impactful for me as well.
Yeah.
Also, pretty much anything where I can see The Rock public speaking, like his story is incredible.
yeah, his story is. You know who told me? You know who told me the Rock story?
Who's that?
My son.
Really?
My 13-year-old son, because he just watched his. He
Yeah.
had like a show on TV right now.
Yeah.
Do you know about this? I didn't know
I know
about
the
this.
show, but I haven't seen it yet.
My son is talking to me about it, and he's like, yeah, they're telling the Rock story. They keep flashing back, and they're breaking down like how, you know, he was on this football team,
Yep.
and then he
Yep.
got cut, and then he like went into professional. Like I'm like, why is my 13-year-old son telling me this, and I don't know
it's
the story?
crazy.
Yeah.
If you look it up, there are a couple good videos of him on Instagram where he's talking to a couple of college kids, like a half a room full basically. But
Mm-hmm.
he breaks it down. He's like, "Hey, I was a pro wrestler, and then I hurt myself. That was the dream, and the dream was taken away.
Yep.
So I want to be a pro football player. So I was making $250 a week on this B team." And I wasn't even good enough to get the $250 a week, so
Yeah,
they cut me.
they cut him,
and
yeah.
then his agent was like, "Well, looks like your career's pretty much done at 26. So what do you want to do with the rest of your life?" He's like, "That guy Will Smith, I want to be bigger than him. That's what I want to do." And then he did it.
And he did it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Which it's so crazy.
Yeah.
And that grit and that tenacity of just like never giving up,
Not
finding a
stopping.
way. You know, this path might not be the right path. Like the wrestler path was not the right path for him.
Yeah.
The law path was not the right path for me. So I had to find a different way to get to the goal and get to the results.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
how much of that do you correlate? I mean, we didn't talk about like your upbringing,
Mhm.
but I'm sure there's some correlation between how you're parented, like things that happened as a youngster. Like, do you feel like there's things that you can point to directly,
Yeah.
like as a child or as like, you know, growing up, that you feel kind of created that drive, that tenacity to make it happen?
My father.
Your dad.
And my mother as well. My mother's the funny one. She's the more popular one. My dad is definitely the quiet giant. Like I don't want to say you wouldn't even know he's in a room, but he's just that guy. He's an exceptionally good man. And when I say he's quiet, I don't mean like quiet like he doesn't talk a lot, but quiet like I never hear him complain about anything. I have seen him. He's an electrician. He worked for General Motors for 37 years.
That's funny. My dad worked for General Motors for 35.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Where did he work?
He worked at the one on E-Course and Wayne Road. I can't think of the name. Hydromatics. And then he worked in
Yeah.
Auburn Hills at Lear before Lear turned to General Motors.
Oh, right on. Yeah. So he got
did
acquired.
like 20 years,
Yeah.
and then he did like 15.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I worked at SPO, Standard Parts Operation in Pontiac,
Okay.
for most of the career, and then Pull Town, a couple other places. But I had never seen him complain going to work. I had never seen him complain. He always took the extra shifts. He always took the extra hours. Always worked the overtime. And then when he was done, of course, he was the only electrician in our entire family. So then people would be like, "Hey, I need help with swapping out my electrical panel. Can you help?" It was always a yes. Didn't matter if he had just come off a 12-hour shift. He'd
Yeah.
go work another 6 hours at somebody's house.
Yeah, which is
and
crazy.
generally either undercharge or just not charge because
Right.
he's just a good man. And so I watched that growing up. Like, you just keep doing the right thing, and then success on the other side will show up. So I was born in Woodhaven. Almost all of my family's downriver or some form of downriver, and they escaped out into Farmington Hills. because he just kept showing up and
They
showing up
escaped
and
out.
showing up.
Right.
Yeah, not like that's a I'm not saying that's a good thing or a bad thing.
I live in Woodhaven
Oh,
right
do you?
now currently.
Yeah.
It's so
Oh, that's
funny.
cool.
I moved there, so I didn't get the memo.
So did you go to Woodhaven schools too?
I did not. I went to Farmington Public.
Oh, so you moved already.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
then ended up going to UAD Jesuit for high school.
Oh,
okay.
really?
Yeah.
I'm considering UAD for my son right now.
Wait, are you No, there's no consideration.
There's no-
do you want him to go to the best high school in Metro Detroit or not?
No,
That's the consideration.
Honestly, I think it's going to happen. Although
Yeah.
he would right now he should be going to 9th grade. But
Okay.
I think we're gonna reclass for him to go to 8th grade.
Yeah.
Then he'll end up going to.
Did you
9th
read
grade.
Outliers?
Yes, Malcolm
Yeah.
Gladwell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, in that book, he was saying it's good for the kids to be on the older side than the younger side, especially in high school because they're just a little more developed.
Yeah.
Kind of going back to the whole
100%.
like NHL players are generally born in the same 3 months of the year.
Yes.
Because they were the oldest 4-year-olds, not the youngest.
You're a
4-year-olds.
numbers guy at heart too, right? Like
Yeah.
I can hear
Yeah.
all that. Like
Yeah.
that book Outliers is probably one of the 5 books or so that
Yeah.
changed my trajectory.
It's so
of
impactful,
life.
right?
Oh my god.
So impactful.
Malcolm Gladwell in general
Yeah.
is just his outlook on the world and
It's
how
just
he sees
different.
things is just
Yeah.
very different.
Yeah.
But Outliers was Tipping Point was another one that kind of
Tipping Point's a great one.
kinda
Blink was a
changed.
great one.
Yeah.
I really like Tipping Point.
What the dog saw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I look at that now, especially Tipping Point, like in different facets. Like when the iPhone came out, like what was the tipping point?
Yes.
And for them, it was like a 6% adoption rate. And then all of a sudden, everybody's buying.
And also, as you navigate life, entrepreneurship, relationships,
Yeah.
you never know if what you're doing at that moment is going to be the tipping point to make that thing work.
Yeah.
You know, so every moment is more valuable than what you're looking at it as.
Especially when you're in it and you're going through it.
Yeah.
As Winston Churchill will say, when you're halfway through hell, you just keep on going.
You just keep on going. Yeah.
Like at that moment, you don't even know.
You have no idea.
And it's really interesting because sometimes I look back at the pain and at the grit and those are some of the best times of my life. I didn't even know it.
Yeah.
It was actually fun, and I did not know I was having fun because
I
of
talk
all.
about this so much.
Yeah.
And especially to I feel like I have 3 avatars. I have the young aspiring guy, the entrepreneur who's trying to figure life out. And that person, if I can get them to understand what you just said.
Yeah.
What you're doing right now in the moment that feels probably like the worst moment of your life.
Yeah.
You're going to look back one day and you're going to be like, that was probably the best moment of my life.
It really was.
And it's
Yeah.
nothing that
Yeah.
you can say. And I'm always trying different things. Let me describe it different. Let me communicate it different. But there's really nothing that you can say when that pain feels excruciating.
Yeah.
And you're not sure where your next dollars are going to come from, bills piling up, probably what you experienced when you had $11 in your account.
Yeah.
I experienced it. I was about to foreclose and lose a car, and on the
I'm
outside things looked
Yeah.
amazing. But I feel like those experiences are necessary.
Yeah.
The grit comes, the tenacity comes from those experiences.
It really does.
Yeah.
It really does. You almost have to have your back up against the wall at some point in time.
Correct.
To be able to properly fight back for a continuous period of time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's hard to explain to young people. I struggle to explain that to young men hey, these are the things you need to do. But sometimes they just need to fail.
Yeah. Yeah, right. You gotta
Which is hard.
just fall on your
Yeah.
face hard.
Oh, I got to make that note. I got to call Brother Boynton tomorrow.
Who's that?
He's the president of UAD. I'm gonna let him know your son's coming over.
Listen, you know him really? Seriously,
Yeah,
I need we're
He's
probably
great, yeah.
75% sure that we're gonna make this move.
Yeah. Have you visited gone for one of the open house days?
We got invited.
Yeah.
We didn't go though. The time
my
that we
God,
got
go.
invited.
I was dead set. I was going to Catholic Central.
Okay.
I was going to be a Blue Shamrock. It was going to be great. Mostly because it was the only private school at the time that didn't require ties. And I was coming from a public school, so that was a big adjustment. And so I went and visited there, visited St. Mary's, visited Brother Rice, all great schools.
The big ones.
Yeah,
Yeah,
all
yeah.
great schools.
Yeah.
None of them were bad schools, really.
Yeah.
But when I visited UAD, one of the kids, we were walking up, held the door for my mother. And And that's how I made my decision on.
That was a tipping point.
That was it.
Was it
That
was
was
it
it.
tough for you though your first year? Because I've heard that they're really tough on the kids there.
Yeah, but I got lucky. Like, in my neighborhood, we were all about the same age. And we were all going to Farmington Public except one kid who was at St. Fabian in Farmington Hills. And almost all of us except one kid ended up going to UAD. So we were kind of like there was like a pack of like 6 of us that were already friends.
That
And so
helps.
going in at the same time, that really helped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was
But the
eye-opening.
curriculum was tough.
It was tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the cool thing. So my son plays AAU basketball. He's played on the same team since he's been playing basketball, so
Yeah.
for 7 years or so. And there's like 3 kids on the team that already goes there.
Okay.
And so he'll be coming in,
That's
but he has
helpful.
kind of like his friend group
Yeah,
to some
yeah.
degree. But
Yeah.
the tough part has been he plays football and basketball. And so for me, understanding like the politics and like, just trying to get our ducks in a row in terms of, if you don't know, if you haven't had a conversation with the coaches, you haven't had a conversation with like athletic directors, like you're basically setting yourself up for failure. Like
Yeah.
those conversations need to happen prior to you making a decision like that.
I'd agree with that. Yeah.
And so like that's really the only part that's left is like having those conversations. But we know of each other.
Yeah.
We have similar, we have like how, like if you were to make the call to the, to the guy, and now I'm coming in warm.
Yep.
It's like, oh, you're
Now it's
friends of
different.
Mike.
Yeah,
Like that
yeah.
changes
Yeah.
everything, I feel like. So
God, I'll tell you,
But-
that school changed my life.
Yeah.
Like it opened my eyes in so many ways. In
the comparison of public and private. And
yes, and yeah, and so like going to Farmington Public, like my parents, they're from Southwest.
Okay.
Let's be real.
Okay.
Right. Like there's no money, right? Coming from them growing up. So they had that mentality from their parents, which my dad's parents are from Italy. My dad's from Italy. They immigrant, you go get a job, you work in the factory, you make your life a little better than the life that you came out of.
Got it.
Right? And my parents were like, nope, we want better for our kids, so we're going to do the best we can. We will eat ham sandwiches forever. We'll do whatever it takes to get them into the best situation or school district that we can, right? So the neighborhood I grew up in, it was my dad, the electrician, and it was a bunch of doctors and lawyers and all of those types of people, right?
So
and
you
that
moved
was
from
interesting.
Southwest to Farmington.
Yeah. Yeah,
it.
Southwest to
Wait.
Woodhaven to Farmington.
Oh, so yeah, there's
Yeah.
one
To
even
Woodhaven,
somewhere in the
Woodhaven,
mix.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
I mean, I was born in Riverside.
I mean,
like-
Woodhaven is like, Farmington and Woodhaven are probably the same, actually.
Actually,
in
they probably
terms
are.
of, like-
Right now they are, yeah.
Yeah.
Like right now, today they are.
Today,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Maybe
Um,
not back then.
No, back then it was a little bit different.
Got
And
it.
then, so that was interesting. And then I ended up going to UAD, and there was just more of that. More of like the entrepreneurial spirit.
Yeah, yeah.
More of, I'm not necessarily going to go work for somebody. I'm going to go create my own thing.
So like your
And-
like life standard rose.
Yeah.
Like you're, like
Yeah, the
that's
people I was
like
surrounded
a
with.
higher echelon.
Yep. And then those parents were very heavily involved in the school as far as like volunteer goes and just showing up. And so all of a sudden I'm in different conversations in different rooms in high school. Right? Like my best friend in high school, his dad was actually an attorney, and he was a friend of the court. Right. And if you're not familiar, a friend of the court is the person that advocates against like deadbeat dads and things
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
friend of the
And it
court,
was
yeah.
for Macomb County. They don't make any money. Like they're basically, they work for the county as prosecutors, and there's really it's not a high income, but it's a very, very admirable job. And so I had a lot of respect for it.
It's like a firefighter or like
Yeah. Like police officer, firefighter,
Yeah.
teacher.
Yeah.
His wife started a technical writing business, writing the pamphlets that pharmaceutical companies use to develop their drugs. That was wildly successful. And it was really cool to see her literally start the business and then grow it and then hire staff writers and all the things. It was also cool to see people rising in ranks in places like General Motors or Ford or other businesses around Metro Detroit, because they used, their education and their ability to leverage into those positions. And I'd never seen that before.
So you're watching this as a high schooler.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was interesting.
And like
And then-
actually soaking it in.
Yeah. And watching just the mentality of even the kids I was surrounded with, like that was a jarring experience coming from Farmington Public to UAD, like just the shift in mentality on just the kids themselves. Like people didn't run out of school when the bell rang. people would literally hang out at the high school, and the teachers would too.
Do you think
It was
that's
different.
like? Do you think that's reflective based on where you are now, or do you feel like in real time you are processing it in that way?
I think a little bit of both.
Okay.
Yeah, there were a couple specific parents that I acknowledged in like probably sophomore year that I was like, okay, these are different.
Yeah.
Like these couple of parents are operating differently than parents that I've been used to.
Right.
Like, what do they do? Okay, one owns a construction company. One is a high-powered attorney at a one of the biggest firms in Metro Detroit, right? Like that kind of a thing. Is like, okay, now let me go talk to them.
Yeah.
And actually have conversation around. Or that's how I.
Like you're intrigued by.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about it because I have a very, very similar like upbringing as you. And I feel like when you're surrounded by all those kids where their parents are entrepreneurs, very successful, and your family is like foreign, they're just trying to make it, they don't have that same mindset that you do. And then you kind of
Meld
clash.
it. Yeah.
Because they don't think that they don't believe in what you're doing or what you want to do or your
Right.
goals. Did you deal with that?
I dealt with that a little bit. I dealt with that a little bit. My family, my parents especially, have been very supportive of both my sister and myself as to whatever it is we wanted to do and however it is that we want to do it. So my sister's in HR, and she, 9 years ago, got a job offer for a company in Abu Dhabi.
Oh, wow.
And so she's like, maybe I should take the jump. Maybe I should make the leap. Maybe I shouldn't. And my parents were like, go for it.
Wow.
Like, if this is going to double your income, if this is going to further your career, if this is going to, open you up to new things in the world itself, go do it. The worst that can happen is it sucks. You come back a year later.
Right.
And 9 years later, she's still there.
Love it.
Wow.
Yeah. Which is really cool.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
that's a big deal. That's
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a cool place.
crazy.
It's a cool place to visit.
Where is it at?
It's 45 minutes south of Dubai.
Wow.
So it's in the UAE. Yeah. Like that
Yeah.
part of the world.
That's crazy.
I was saying,
It's cool.
like, moving from Michigan to New York or, Cali.
Yeah.
A lot of people are like, I'm not sure if I'm ready for this, but like she's
But I'm going to go exactly halfway around the world.
Yeah, that's-
no more, no less.
That's
like as far as
amazing.
I can go by a plane, that's where I'm going to go. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I think we could probably sit here and have this conversation for hours. We're going to definitely revisit this, maybe not here, but at some point. Where can people find you if they want to
Absolutely.
get in contact with you?
A couple of different places. Michael Perna on Facebook, thepernateam.com, the Perna Team on Instagram. DM me, reach out anytime. I'm always available. I'm always happy to help. Always happy to have a conversation. If you're an entrepreneur and you're stuck, if you're in real estate and you're stuck, or you're questioning, hey, is this something I even want to do? And you're stuck, give me a call. I literally always happy to help, and I do not care where you are in the nation. I will take a call and help whenever, wherever.
He'll
Hey, I gotta-
personally do it too.
I was about to say
will.
I gotta give Mike his props because I also operate in the nightlife world. People know this, and one of my favorite bartenders at a couple different venues
Mark.
randomly popped up in a Mike Perna video one day where he was
Really?
teaching his team, and I was like, "Is that Mark?" Mark had a long ponytail, long hair, tatted, like he was like the bartender.
Yeah.
I see him in this video. He has a suit, a collared shirt on. His hair is cut.
His hair is cut. His hair is cut.
And
I
I'm
was so
like,
excited
wait,
when he did
what
it.
is
Yeah.
happening?
Yeah.
He's such a showman.
So I think that to me, what that says is if you can attract this guy to come and be a part of your team,
Yeah.
to me that says that you guys are doing something different. You're creating an environment that people want to be a part of, regardless of where they were previously, and I think that's like super dope. So.
And that's the goal, right? Like Mark. It's the other way. I'm glad to have been chosen by Mark to come in and contribute to the environment, by all of the people that have come in and contribute to the environment, because they're the ones creating the environment.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I'm setting the stage by holding a couple of value standards. Like we have 8 core values, but our biggest one is no jerks. I do not care if you're a real estate agent. I don't care if you're a vendor. I don't care if you're a client.
Yeah.
If you're a jerk, you're fired.
Yeah.
You're out.
Love it.
I got to protect that mindset and that culture above everything else.
Love it.
And then everything else will just take care of itself after that.
Yeah, that's super dope.
Okay, real quick, because I have to ask this question. I ask everybody this question to wrap up. What is your craziest real estate story?
My craziest real estate story. Okay, my craziest real estate story. I was showing a home in Detroit during the down market. This is part of the reason why I decided not to show homes anymore, especially in certain parts of Detroit. It's like $4,000. I walk in, and definitely like 5 or 6 squatters that nobody said were there, and there were a couple pit bulls. So the guy literally looked up at me. He was like eating like old McDonald's or whatever it was, and he's like, I'm going to loose the dogs, and then let the 2 pit bulls.
No.
And my client and I literally ran back to my car, got in, and we left his car. Like, we just left. I remember that day. His name was Brian. I sold him a house later on, but we literally left Brian's car there for like an hour and circled until we knew the dogs were not there. It was terrible, and I'm like, I can't do this. I can't. This is not for me.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So the dogs didn't attack you though?
They got pretty close.
They chased them to
they
their
jumped
car.
up onto the car and scratched my car.
God.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah. He gave me like a 3-second warning, and then let him go. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Oh Lord.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
What's your craziest
That's
real estate story?
PTSD for sure.
You know what? I don't know. Now you're gonna put me on the spot. What is my craziest real estate story? I don't know. I did actually, when I was showing a property one time, I had a client like randomly scream. I'm like, what's going on? They had a snake in one of the rooms, and then when we actually went down to the basement, we opened one of the doors and there were mice in there. So the guy, the seller, actually came into the house and he was like, yeah, those are the mice that the snake
Oh my God.
Wow.
eats.
Yeah.
So that's
That's
pretty
awesome.
crazy. I'm
Yeah.
sure there's something else. I just
Yeah.
can't think of it right now. There's creepy
Yeah, I want
guys,
to say, you asked that
obviously,
question,
do
no one
it.
ever asked you back. So
Yeah,
it's
I know.
good.
You stopped me on that one,
Good
but
stuff.
One last thing can I put out there
Yeah,
before we
for
wrap
sure.
it up? Okay, I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
One thing that's very near and dear to me is, and a lot of people don't know this, but this is why I created this real estate team and why I'm building this business as big as I can humanly possibly build it. Every single night in Michigan, especially Southeast Michigan, there are over 200,000 children that go to sleep hungry. And currently, and this is I'm not talking about politics or any of that stuff, these are facts, a lot of that funding has been slowly going away over time. Conversely, at the end of life, Meals on Wheels, a lot of that has been going away, right? So we've got 2 ends of the spectrum, 2 generations that I feel are neglected and overlooked. Meals on Wheels helped my grandmother out for a number of years because they do more than just provide meals. They also do wellness checks, right? So 1/3 of our profit goes to those companies, goes to places like Forgotten Harvest that literally gets the foods from places like a Kroger or Bush's where they can't sell it anymore into over 240 pantries and food kitchens all across Metro Detroit to help these children, help these families that are literally on the edge. And I feel like there's more of that today than there has been at any other point, at least in my life.
Yeah.
So that's what we stand for.
Love
and
it.
you will see us at Forgotten Harvest volunteering. You will see us planting 40,000 pounds of cabbage. You will see us donating big dollars to these organizations because this is the United States of America, and there is no child and no elderly person that should go to sleep food deprived. We are the greatest nation on earth.
Love that.
And I think as a business, we can fix this because nobody else is going to do it.
yeah.
That's deep. I love
Well
it.
said.
Yeah.
We
Wrap it up.
wrap it up. Yeah. So thank you
Thank
for
you.
coming on and sharing your story, being vulnerable with us.
Absolutely.
you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for tuning back into the RPR podcast. We will see you guys next week. Peace.
Peace. Good deal. Good stuff, man.
Is it cool that I threw that out there at the end?
Of course.
Okay.
I
Like,
wish
that's a
more
really
big
people
thing for
would-
me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, that's huge.
Yeah, yeah.
More people would take those opportunities.